Did you know that one Jedi Master survived Order 66 only to become a dark ruler on Dathomir? Imagine a once noble general of the Republic, his clone troopers turning against him, escaping the carnage of the Purge, only to find himself stranded on a world steeped in rage and ancient magic. This is the story of Taron Malicos, the Jedi who fell not because of the Sith, but because of himself. Wait until the end to find out how his obsession with power led him to face one of the last surviving Jedi, Cal Kestis, and how his death became a symbol of everything the Order had failed to see coming. Before we begin, comment below, do you think surviving Order 66 would have made you stronger, or driven you insane like so many of the fallen Jedi? Before the fall, Taron Malicos was a Jedi Master of the Republic, known for his sharp mind and commanding presence. He wasn't just a skilled warrior, he was a tactician, a motivator, and a man the clones deeply respected. When the Clone Wars erupted, Malicos led troops across countless battlefields. He saw the best and worst of the Jedi's military era, where compassion blurred into command, and the Order's purpose became consumed by endless war. Then came the end. When Order 66 was issued, his clone battalion turned their blasters on him, but unlike many Jedi, Malicos survived. He struck down his own men in a desperate act of self-defense, a choice that broke something inside him forever. He escaped in his starfighter, wounded and shaken, his faith in the Jedi shattered. The Force guided, or perhaps cursed, him to crash on Dathomir, a planet of blood-red skies, dark magic, and constant death. The Jedi had taught him that the Force connected all living things. On Dathomir, he learned what happens when that connection is poisoned by rage. But what happens when a Jedi, stripped of purpose and surrounded by darkness, begins to see the Force not as balance, but as a weapon to control? Malicos was captured almost immediately by the Nightbrothers, the Zabrak warriors once ruled by the Nightsisters. Their leader, Brother Viscus, saw Malicos as prey, but Malicos was a survivor. He studied his captors, learned their fear of strength, and used it against them. He manipulated them from within, turning one brother against another, whispering promises of power until their trust in Viscus began to fracture. When they brought Malicos before their leader, he struck. In a brutal display of the Force, he killed Viscus and claimed the Nightbrothers as his own. They called him Master, not out of respect but out of fear. Malicos' mind twisted in Dathomir's corrupted Force energy. He convinced himself that the Jedi had fallen because they were weak, because they denied their true power. He began to see himself as a philosopher of the new age, declaring,
"Restore the Jedi Order." Oh, you poor fool. It's over! Jedi fell long before the Purge. We were stifled by tradition, deafened by our past glories, blinded by endless war.
But his words weren't wisdom. They were the madness of a man who couldn't accept that his fate had failed him. And yet, if the Jedi were blind to their downfall, what did that make the Nightsisters, who Malicos would soon meet? When Malicos met Merrin, one of the last surviving Nightsisters, he saw opportunity. She was powerful, grieving, and utterly alone after General Grievous's massacre of her sisters during the Clone Wars. Malicos told her a lie. He claimed that it was the Jedi who had destroyed her people, twisting history to turn her pain against the Order that had once been his family. He offered her a deal. "Teach me your magic, and I'll help you avenge your sisters." At first, Merrin agreed. She believed his honeyed words, that the Jedi had betrayed her world. Together, they explored the Tomb of Kujet, an ancient Siphonian ruin buried deep beneath Dathomir's cliffs. It was here that the dark side pulsed like a living heart, feeding Malicos' descent even further. But the Nightsister began to see the truth. She saw that Malicos wasn't a saviour, he was a usurper, using her magic to increase his own power. By then though, it was too late. He ruled Dathomir as a self-proclaimed master, surrounded by Nightbrothers who worshipped him as a god, their eyes hollow, their minds enslaved. But destiny had another survivor in store for Dathomir, a young Jedi Padawan named Cal Kestis. What happens when one broken Jedi meets another? If you're enjoying this deep dive into the darker side of the Jedi Order, make sure to subscribe for more deep lore breakdowns every week. You won't want to miss them. When Cal Kestis arrived on Dathomir, he found a world haunted by ghosts and scarred by war. Among the ruins, he met an old man calling himself the Wanderer. Malicos hid his identity behind a calm smile. He spoke of philosophy and ancient ruins, warning Cal that power on Dathomir was a dangerous temptation. But behind his words was the real question. Would this young Jedi join him? When Cal returned from the tomb of Kujet, his mind shaken by visions of his own failure, Malicos revealed the truth. He wasn't a wanderer, he was a fallen Jedi Master. "We both survived the Purge," he told Cal. "My troops betrayed me. I was forced to strike them down. The darkness here, it almost took me, but I conquered it." Malicos saw in Cal the same vulnerability he once had. He offered to rebuild something better, a new order without the weakness of the Jedi's old ways. But Cal refused. Then Merrin arrived, furious. She accused Malicos of lying, of manipulating her grief. Realizing she had been deceived, she unleashed her wrath, summoning the undead Nightsister warriors from their graves. Malicos laughed, calling her foolish, but even he could not stand against the rage of Dathomir's dead. He and Cal fled the onslaught, temporary allies in survival, but this was not the end. Could Cal Kestis truly defeat a fallen Jedi Master who had mastered both the Force and Dathomir's magic? When Cal returned, he was no longer the frightened Padawan. He had learned, fought, and grown stronger through pain, just as Malicos once had. Merrin, now aware of the truth, joined him to face the fallen Jedi. Inside the tomb of Kujet, beneath walls etched with ancient Zephonian symbols, the two Jedi met for the last time. Malicos ignited two red lightsabers, their glow painting the ancient tomb in crimson fire. "There's power here beyond Jedi understanding," he hissed. "Power I control. I offer you the same thing." Cal refused, and the duel began. Malicos fought with the fury of a man who had long abandoned restraint. His mastery of Jar Kai, wielding both sabers with precision and brutality, overwhelmed Cal again and again. He used the Force to hurl boulders, to crush the air from Cal's lungs, to remind him that he was fighting a master of the old order. But Cal had something Malicos had lost: balance. With Merrin's magic aiding him, spectral energy swirling through the tomb, Cal fought back. When Malicos lifted a stone to crush him, Merrin shattered it mid-air with a burst of green fire. Finally, Merrin seized Malicos with her magic, pinning him to the earth. "It's like you said, Malicos," she whispered. "Dathomir will be your grave." With a gesture, she buried him alive beneath the ancient stone. The tomb fell silent. But what legacy did Malicos truly leave behind? And what does his fall say about the Jedi themselves? Taron Malicos' story is a mirror for everything that went wrong with the Jedi. He was powerful, wise, and loyal, but too proud to admit the Order's flaws, and too afraid to face a future without it. On Dathomir, stripped of structure and purpose, he mistook freedom for power, an enlightenment for control. His tragedy was not that he was evil, but that he believed he was right. When Merrin later joined Cal's crew, she confessed that Malicos' madness had scared her too. His lies nearly turned her against the galaxy. Yet through him, she and Cal learned one truth. You cannot rebuild the Jedi by rejecting their failures. You can only move forward by learning from them. And so, Malicos' grave on Dathomir remains a warning of what happens when wisdom becomes arrogance and when survival becomes obsession. If you are enjoying these videos, consider becoming a channel member and let's uncover the galaxy's greatest secrets together. Thanks for watching.